Well, good morning, gentlemen. All right, looks like there's a good crowd in the room today, so hopefully there will be lots of questions as well that I can answer for you guys. Let me finish taking a look at the names here. Yeah, all right, so there are a couple of names here I don't recognize, and maybe some names I think I recognize, but I really don't. So let me first ask before answering the questions here. So if there's, let me check to see if there's anybody new to these workshops today or fairly new. Um, my question is, if you're fairly new or whatnot, would you like to hear the workshop introduction? All right. So the workshop introduction is I'll explain what we do in these workshops and more importantly, what we do not do in these workshops. And then secondly, I'll explain how the recordings work. And then third, I'll explain what indicators I can install into my machine here if you, in case you have questions about using a custom third-party indicator there. All right. So if anybody would like to hear the workshop introduction, let me know, and I'll get that out of the way. And let's see, in the meantime, while I'm just kind of giving some time to see if anybody wants to hear that, I do have, let's see here, there were two emailed in questions here, one from Farouk and one from Drummond. And so, gentlemen, both of you, I had emailed you back for some clarification. So before I can answer those questions there, I kind of do need some clarification on them. Um, so, yeah, all right, that is where I am at so far. And let me get the audio recording going. There we go. And let's see here. Well, I'm surprised there's no questions in the Q&A window. But well, yeah, let me do what I can, answer what I can answer here as far as the questions that were emailed in. And let's see here. I believe, yeah, all right. So I believe, yeah, this was the question here from Drummond. So let's see here. So question number one is, please explain how to use a 5-minute stop loss. So I don't know what a 5-minute stop loss is. You know, stop losses don't have times. While trading on a 1-minute chart, I can assume that maybe this is referring to a 5-minute chart stop loss. But then again, why do stop losses need to be, well, you can't assign a time frame, so even a stop loss entered on a 1-minute chart is not a 1-minute stop loss. It's just a stop loss there. So, yeah. But if the question is, can you place orders based on different time frames, such as indicators, I guess. The question is, Bloodhound is not a multi-time frame strategy. So, yeah, so if you have Blackbird running on a 1-minute chart, and let's say you want to trail, the bar low prices, if you take a long trade and, yeah, come on, get out of the way. There we go. Yeah, let's say you enter into a long trade. That's the wrong one. And there we go. Yeah, there we go. There's my arrow. And so you want your stop loss to trail the bar lows up of a 5-minute chart. Yeah, Blackbird is not a multi-time frame strategy. So it does not do that. You would need a custom indicator that is pulling in the 5-minute chart data in order to do that. and then you would just set your stop loss to that custom indicator there. So yeah. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. I got a response from Drummond. Stop loss on a 5-minute chart. Stop losses show on all charts. So just so you know, stop losses show on all charts. You can't. So I guess that would be a question for NinjaTrader. How can you only show a stop loss on a certain chart? All right, that's outside the scope of. That's absolutely nothing that Blackbird can control there. So yeah. So you want to stop on a 5-minute bar. Okay, yeah, so I guess you are referring to what I said about using a 5-minute bar low to trail your stop losses. Yeah, so there you go. So I did answer that. Okay. All right. Let's see here. All right, so number 2. So what result will you have if you use the enable order type selection box? Yeah, so let's get Blackbird open here. There. All right. So what this is referring to, and you're missing a key word here, which is automatic. That right. So that should answer the question there. Automatic order type selection. Right. So so let's take a look. So let's say you set up a limit entry, and actually we have auto stop right there. But you know, the previous version of Blackbird did not have all of these additional quick list selections here. So I'll just go with actually I'll just go with market. Yeah, I'm going to go with market. And I'll switch this over to a limit there. And once we're on limit, there we go. Now we can see the enable automatic order type. So yeah, I mean, we were hoping that the name would kind of was self-explanatory there. But when you check it, if you look, now it says stop limit. So there you go. So Blackbird will automatically decide whether it needs to be a stop or a limit based on the initial placement. So whatever your initial placement calculates out to be, you know, and where the last price of the market's printing, right? Then Blackbird, you know, right? Any piece of software can figure out if that order should be a stop or a limit. So there we go. And also, if you want to use a stop limit, there you go. You can switch this over to being a stop limit, right, versus a stop market. So, okay. Yeah, so there we go. Also, just a reminder, everybody, so that you know you don't have to wait for these workshops. You can get your answers very quickly here. If we, let's see here. Yeah, so if we go to the website, we can go to support and then documentation. There we go. We can go to Blackbird. So that'll take us to the introduction page there. So if you go to the side menu here, right? So we're in the order sets here. So so we want to go to the order sets page, right? It says right up top there, order set. So let's go to the order sets page there. And if we scroll down, right, so where is this setting, right? This setting is in the entry order. All right, so on the documentation, I'm going to scroll down. And here we go. Here is the entry order section. And so under type, right, type, there we go. We have enable automatic order type. And there you have it. There's your simple little explanation there. All right. And so everything, everything is documented, so if you don't want to have to wait, until next week, everything's in the documentation there. So, all right. Let's put this away. And again, yeah, this is on the order sets page here. I guess also, yeah, just to kind of get you familiar with, terminology here, right? So we do have a little image here that kind of breaks down Blackbird into its 3 categories, right? So we can see, right? So we have the top menu ribbon. So Microsoft calls this a menu ribbon up here, right? And then in the middle, we have the trade signals, and then at the bottom, we have the order sets here. So there we go. So, right, the management buttons are up top, right? The trade signal section is in the middle, and then the order sets section is at the bottom there. And so when you look at the side menu, right, there you go, management buttons. So that page refers to, right, all the buttons up there on top, right? The trade signals, that page, right, refers to the trade signals and all the menus and how that works there. And then the order sets, as I already showed you, there you go, there's the order sets page. And yeah, one additional here, that's right, not too long ago, we added optimization, which actually this is an older image here. Yeah, so the optimization button actually has its own page, since optimization is is the most complex button here in the management button section there. Yeah, all right. I think that should take care of that. And also let me just kind of clean up the Q&A window here for a moment. All right, there we go. And let's see here. All right, number 3. Okay, yeah, again, I'm not sure what indicator you're talking about. I don't know of any indicator that shows open order price levels. So yeah, so Drummond, you'll have to kind of help me out here. This had to be somebody else's indicator here. This is not related to us. We don't have any such indicator that shows order price levels there. Yeah, so that would be somebody else's tool, if they were able to make that happen. So yeah, so I'll circle back around to this, Drummond, after yeah, after you can kind of help me out here. Help me understand what indicator you're referring to there. So yeah. All right, so that was 2/3 of one of the emailed in questions. And let's jump over to this next one here. All right, so let's see. This was from Farouk. Yeah. All right, yeah. And so Farouk, I also emailed you back as well because I don't know what this 30 is referring to. Break even 30 plus 2 ticks. So I know what a break even plus 2 ticks is, but I don't know what this 30 is referring to. So so I'm just going to ignore whatever this 30 is here, right? And just go break even plus 2 ticks. So when the first target is hit. So all right, so we have a target for a profit target at 30 ticks. And so now we can see, all right, so we're dealing with 2 order sets. All right, the first order set has a profit target. The second order set does not have one. All right, and then we're going to trail 30 ticks, for every 1 tick of price movement. Yep. Um, and let's see here. All right, this must be referring to after target 1 is filled. Yeah. So, all right. So I have Black Red already open here. So let's kind of get started here. All right. So there's no mention of the entry order here. So let's go with the market entry. And so we know we do have a profit target here of 30 ticks. So with this, I'm just going to go down to tick profit targets there, and oh, we didn't quite have a 30 tick one, but I'll just go with the 35 tick one, and then we can open up our profit target, go into the initial placement. Right here it says average entry plus 35 ticks, so let's open that up, and then we'll just knock this down to 30 ticks like so. There we go. All right, so there's our target 1, the 30 ticks. And then the stop loss here. So there's no mention of the initial location, or I'm sorry, the initial price or offset of that stop loss. So I will just go with a tick based stop loss there. All right, and I will go, actually, we do have a 30 tick trailing with a break even +1. Right, so I will use this quick list one here to get us started. All right, and then we'll open this up and we'll tweak it so that we get a break even +2. Yeah, break even +2 after the target 1's hit. So, although obviously if the target 1's hit, then there is no trailing here. So, let's see here. Yeah, so I'm going to take a look at the trailing actions here. And yeah, so obviously this break even's never going to get kicked in because target 1's going to get hit. So, right, either target 1's going to get hit or the stop loss gets hit. So that break even will effectively never do anything. But I have it in here. So what I can do is I do need to create a second order set, right, that has no target but does have a stop loss. So let's make a copy of A. So here's our second order set, and now I can just delete that profit target there, and now I can go into this stop loss, right, and I'm on the trailing actions tab here, and now I can go in and adjust that break even, and it's not going to be at 30 ticks of profit. It's going to be when the profit target A is hit, right? So when this profit target, which is profit target A, right? This is order set A, this is order set B, right? So when that gets hit, that is when we then move to break even. All right, so how do we identify when a profit target's hit? Well, on the trigger, right? So when that profit target's hit, that's our triggering mechanism to then move the order to back to break even. So we're going to go in here, and we're not going to use the interval here. Instead, we're going to switch this over to order status changed. All right, so which order do we want to monitor? Well, that's going to be the profit target here for A. Right, there we go, profit target A. And what order status are we looking for? Well, not placed, but instead we want to know when that profit target is filled. So yeah, there we go. All right, so that's our triggering mechanism to move that stop loss to break even there. All right, so now the action here. So the action was already set, all right, to move to break even, but we actually wanted a break even plus 2. So we just adjust that to 2. There we go. Right? So obviously, yeah, your average entry, right, is your break even. And then we just needed to modify that to 2. There we go. All right, so there's our break even modified. So, and then the trailing here, right, we're going to change this trigger, right, because remember these triggers were based on 30 ticks of profit, but instead we're triggering these trailing based on that profit target being filled. So we're going to do the same thing with this trigger here. Is we're going to switch it over to the order status changed, and then go in and select that profit target, right? And then switch this over to filled, right? And then the action is already set up, right? So we're going to move, right? That's already set up for us. So the stop loss is moving based on the last price minus 30 ticks. So there we go. And then the repeat here, all right? So for this type of trailing, this repeat is already set to 1. So for every 1 tick of movement, the stop loss, it moves there. So, and all right, let's see here. So yeah, all right, so this last little comment here. So the setup could be for trades manually and automatic. Yeah, so there is nothing in here that determines anything different for automatic trades or manual trades, right? And the way you set these orders up is, an order is an order. It doesn't matter how the order is executed, right? Yeah, so, these stop loss trailing occurs whenever an order is placed. And yeah, Blackbird doesn't differentiate between a manually or automated order submission there. Yeah. So, yeah. All right, there we go. And I guess just for kicks, let's go ahead and fire this off here. I think we're going to be going short. So let's just go short. There we have it. And maybe not. Try short again. Well, market should be going down here. Yeah, maybe not. All right, there we go. Come on. Bingo. There we go. That was our break even instantly, and then the market just kind of took off, and there's our trailing. So, all right. Yeah. So also, yeah, just to include this, since our first stop loss, you're right, since it will never trail, right? We might as well just go ahead and delete these trailing rules here, and then we can also turn the trailing off as well, right? So there we go. Right. Yeah. So now only the second stop loss has the trailing in there. So, all right. Well, let me see if there was any follow-up questions on this. There. Yeah. All right. And also, just so you gentlemen know, so I see a bunch of yeses in there. So can't I can't read the Q&A window at the same time that I'm, working on Blackbird here. So sometimes when you just answer yes or no, I may not know exactly what you're referring to. So yeah, just keep that in mind there. And all right, so it does look like we got Farouk's question answered here. Oh no, here we go. And oh right, yes. Yeah, that's right. So Farouk actually had a two-part question here. Let me pull this back up here. Nope, that was Drummond's. There we go. Yeah, so there was a Bloodhound question. So yeah, I don't do Bloodhound questions in the Blackbird workshop. So yeah, so we'll save that for next week. Although you did say, let's see here. Yeah, I'm just double checking here before I say something that's incorrect. Okay, yeah, you did say that you could do the Bloodhound part. So, all right, yeah. So if you do want me to cover the Bloodhound part, um, let's see here. I will email you back later on. So I didn't read the Bloodhound part. So I will have to email you back later on this evening, and just make sure I have everything I need to know about the Bloodhound part, which I don't think I do. So I'm pretty certain I will email you back with questions on the Bloodhound part there. So yeah, there. Alrighty. All right. Look, I think we're squared away with Farouk here. Okay. So, all right, let's get back to Drummond's questions here. All right, there we go. Let's see. All right, give me a moment here to kind of scan through everything, all the extra information here that Drummond sent in. All right, okay, so I think I know what Drummond is referring to here, which is the order flags. All right, these are not indicators, right? Indicators are what show up in the indicators window. Yeah, so let's kind of get some terminology correct, which is, pretty critical to be speaking the correct terminology, right? When we're trying to ask questions and learning here. So yeah, so indicators are what's inside the indicators window. Nothing else is an indicator. right? So when using the term indicator, that only refers to whatever is in your indicator window here. All right. Yeah, so I think what Drummond is talking about here is, let me go short, are these order flags. So, yeah, so again, you should definitely go through NinjaTrader's documentation and ours, and that would have taught you that these are called flags. So, yeah. So, all right, so Drummond doesn't, so assuming that, yeah, Drummond doesn't have these order flags here. Yeah, so I'm thinking what you did there, Drummond, is you upgraded your NinjaTrader to the latest version. Let's see here. All right, so I'm going to go to the changelog page here. So I'm just going to jump over there quickly. There we go. So there's the changelog page. And all right, here. So if we look at the latest update here, so I'm assuming here that you are on NinjaTrader 8.1.6.0. And, you know, as this says, NinjaTrader broke stuff. So as they kind of do from time to time. So, and so what they broke are the order flags. Yeah, so this update fixes the display issue or the missing flags from NinjaTrader. Yeah, if you have NinjaTrader 8.1.6 in there. All right, so Drummond, yeah, what you'll need to do is get the latest update, or if you don't want to update your if you don't want to update your shark indicators here, then you can just go back to NinjaTrader 8.1.5.2 there, and let's see here. There, let's find NinjaTrader's release notes. Here we go. All right. Yeah, so here's the latest version. So if you go back to 8.1.5, then the flags work properly, in this version here. So, although actually, yeah, I wouldn't recommend, you don't have to go back to 5.0. You can actually go back to where? There we go. Yeah, so the last version is 5.2. Yeah, so you can go back to that prior version, and then your flags will work again there. So, all right, so let me take a look at the Q&A window and make sure that I guessed correctly at Drummond's question. Let's see. All right, Drummond just says, okay, order flags. Yeah. Okay, so I'm guessing I did. Yeah, I got your issue related, or yeah, I got your what you're asking there figured out. So, all right. So yeah. So how do you get them back? All right, yeah. So that must be the order flags there. Yeah. So either roll, reinstall the previous version of NinjaTrader there, right? 8.1.5.2, or where is it? Or you can go to support and then down to the download installer. Yeah, so I know if anybody has purchased indicators from other vendors, right, you always have to log in to download their stuff because, they're all afraid, that somebody's going to steal their stuff and whatnot. But we're not afraid of that. So, we have our software protected. So you don't have to log in to anything to download our software, right? Our software is available to download just like all the other programs on the internet. It's free to download. So you can just go to the download installer page here, support right there in the middle, and then scroll down, and down here is the Shark indicators. And so right there is where you can get the latest version there of Shark indicators. So either install that version, that'll fix your flags, or roll NinjaTrader back to 5.2, and that'll fix your flags. All right, I think we can. I think we got this all taken care of, hopefully. There. All right, you're welcome there, gentlemen. All right, let me start from the top of the Q&A window again. And it looks like Larry's up next. Let's see here. Okay. This is a unusual request here, I guess. Yeah, so Larry's saying, I'm assuming your candles are red and green. No, actually, all my candles are orange. So, yeah, my candles are orange. Like the old traditional black and white printed charts. Remember black and white printed charts on paper, that you might have gotten in the mail way back when, before trading on the internet became popular there. So yeah, and my bars are just orange because orange is the um, company color scheme for Blackbird. So black, yeah, it's orange and dark gray. So yeah, so just think of these as the traditional black and white, hard copy printed flags, where since it's right. Obviously, my background is dark, so I had to go with a bright down bar, which is orange. Right. Obviously, if this was printed on white paper, the down bars would be black. So up bars are open, down bars are filled in. So anyways, right. Okay, so that really wasn't a question there. So okay, let's move on. Let's see what Michael has. Um, sure. All right. So yeah, Michael is asking, can I demonstrate the dynamic planner with a profit target and stop loss based on the ATR? Sure. All right. So let's open Blackbird up here, and I'll just kind of keep what we have here. And I'm just going to go in and adjust the initial placement here. So the initial placement, I'll change it from 30 ticks to an ATR. So I'm going to set the ticks to 0, and then open up the indicators here for the offset. And there you go. We can see ATR is automatically selected for you. All right. So just a little side note, right? The reason why the ATR goes down here is because the ATR does not print a price. The ATR actually prints a value in points. So this, yeah, so that's why the ATR goes down here. So indicators that plot a value in points goes down here in the offset section. Indicators that actually plot a price value, right? In other words, they plot on the price panel, right? Those indicators go up here, right? So the SMA is obviously, that's plotting a literal instrument price value, not points, right? The ATR is plotting points. That's why it's in its own subpanel there. Right, so a little side note there. All right, so anyways, so I'm just gonna switch this over to, I'll just go 4 ATRs, call it good, and I'll do the same thing with the stop losses here real quickly. There, I'll make this, negative 4 ATRs as well. Call that good. And go into this other stop loss and make the same adjustment. All right, zero out the ticks here, and then open up the indicator. We have the ATR, and then knock this down to 4. There. All right. Click OK. There. All right. So I'm on a 15 range chart here. So 4 ATRs is going to be approximately 60 ticks, right? 4 times 15. So, yeah. So there we go. Yeah. Now keep in mind, if I switch over to say like a minute chart, or let's see, I'm on the NQ. Yeah, I could go to a tick chart or something like that, but I'll go to like a 15-second chart here. Right. So if you're trading ATRs, obviously, right, your ATR is going to change a little bit here. Let's go to the ATR. Let's put that on the chart. There we go. All right. Yeah. So, on anything other than a range chart, right? Yeah, your ATR is going to, change, right? So I'm kind of guessing that Michael's wondering that if you're using the dynamic planner, and if we just let this, go by, let's see here, let's do track price there. And let's shrink that up. There we go. Yeah. So as time goes by, Blackbird is not automatically updating the indicators that you might be using in your orders, right? At least not for this planning display here, right? Yeah, so that, yeah. But when you do hit the execute button, Blackbird recalculates, or when you hit the execute button, Blackbird grabs the latest value of the indicators that you may be using for your stop loss and profit target. So that way it is using the latest value of the ATR there. But when it's in this dynamic planning stage here, it's not going through and updating the ATR value there. So if for some reason, the ATR just shot up, you won't see the order flags expand out, as you might expect. So, All right, so there we go, Michael. Okay, it looks like we have some follow-ups here from Michael. Let's see, can I use the stop limit and then move it? Sure. Yeah. There. So here, just to show you, right, there you go. I can move those stops. And let's switch this over to a stop limit. And we'll switch the other one over to a stop limit. There we have it. There we go. Switch back to the dynamic planner. And yeah, the market's still really going short overall. And there we go. And move it. Here, actually, let me take off the track price. That's makes it a little difficult here to grab these orders. Boom, there we go. Boom, there we go. And of course, profit targets are limit orders as well. So there we go. Yep, so all you gotta do to move it is just click on it and then click where you want it to go. Yep. Oh, okay. Yeah, here we go. So here's what Michael's getting at. Yeah, Michael, you should just get straight to the point. Yeah, I can tell you, yeah, that is not working right now. So, yeah, I guess something again, probably that last update, NinjaTrader update affected something else weird there. Yeah, so when you move the entry order around, the exit orders don't move along with it anymore. Hold on, let's get that all turned off here. Let's open this up. And all right, yeah, so actually, no, hold on, let me cancel that. Let's set order set A. Let's set that to a limit entry order. There we go. There, now we have it. All right, so on the dynamic planner here, let's go short. Yeah, so if you move the entry order, it's not moving the exit orders in sync with it anymore. Yeah, so yeah, that's a known issue that needs to be fixed. So there. All right. All right, there we go. Yeah, so that looks like that's what Michael was after. Just confirming. Yeah, that issue exists. Yep, you bet. Okay. Let's see. All right, so let me move back to the top here and turn that off. There. All right, it looks like Doug is up next here. All right. So Doug, Doug is asking about how to create a custom session template. Yeah. So, correct me if I'm wrong here, Doug. I'm assuming, um, yeah. So for prop trading, yeah, you want an extended, uh, yeah, you want to adjust the extended trading times to match up with your prop firm um, regulations there or requirements there as to when trading should end, I guess, or maybe when your margin changes for overnight session. So yeah, so I'm assuming yeah you're wanting to use a custom session template in here with Blackbird there. Now, if you're referring how do you create one of these are NinjaTrader session templates here. All right. So if you want to learn how to create your own custom session template within NinjaTrader, you need to direct those questions to NinjaTrader. All right. Yeah. So just to be clear, we don't provide training for NinjaTrader. That's the job of NinjaTrader. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, um, they kind of changed the menu here. They call it trading hours now. It used to be called it. Sometimes they call it trading hours, and sometimes they call it session. So trading session there. Yeah. So this is where you would create your own custom um, session template or trading hours. So yeah. So as far as working with this is NinjaTrader. So we don't provide support for NinjaTrader. That's their job. So you can follow up with them on that. But in Blackbird, what you can do, um, yeah. So for Blackbird, so for every Blackbird settings that you have, you'll have to go in and create your own custom one here every time. So Blackbird does not save out these custom sessions because that's what NinjaTrader does. So there's no need for Blackbird to double the work that NinjaTrader is already doing there. Yeah. So if you just wanted, but you can, customize or not customize, but you can use NinjaTrader's session template here as a starting point, and then you can go in here and open each one of these up, right? And then put in that exact time that you want there. There we go. Right. One more, just for good measure. There you go. Right. So you can tweak that, customize it. And then when you save your Blackbird template out, then, obviously all of your settings up here, that's the whole point of saving a file is to save all these settings here exactly, the way you want them there. Yeah. So, I guess an alternative is you could open up a blank Blackbird window here, right? No order sets, no signals, no money management, right? Make sure it's all brand new and blank, so I don't want to clear this out because so far I've been kind of using this to answer questions here, but if you don't have a blank one, you can hit clear, right? And that clears everything out. And then just only go into the scheduling, create a custom schedule, and then you can save that, right? That file with only the scheduling saved the way you want it. Save that file out and, just use some kind of naming convention, like my custom session template, starter file, right? And this will be your starter file that you can open up, right? You can just open up that starter file, put in whatever order set you want to use, right? Set up your money management, yada, yada, yada. And then just do a save as, and then save, once you have all the order sets and everything else set up the way you want it, do a save as. So that way you're not saving over that starter file, right? And save it to whatever kind of name you want to use there, right? So that's really just file management there. So nothing, nothing special or particular to Blackbird, but just file management there. Yeah. So if you're finding that you're using the same money management rules over and over and over again when you're creating, different Blackbird settings, yeah, you can go ahead and set all those money management up to whatever your most common use case is, and then obviously set up your scheduling to what you use all the time, and then save. That way you have all those settings, saved to a file as a starter file, and always open that up and then add your order sets and your signals and whatever else afterwards. And then always make sure you do a save as. So that way you're not saving over that template file or that starter file. Yeah. All right. So I think that's maybe what you're getting at there, Doug. Let's see there. There we go. All right. Let me see what Doug wrote here. Let's see here. All right. Yeah. Doug is mentioning he watched a video that looked like we were modifying NinjaTrader's session template. No, Blackbird never did that. I'm trying to think back to NinjaTrader 7. Things were, my knowledge of Ninja 7 is starting to fade here a little bit, but yeah, what was it? Yeah, I can't put my finger on it, but I think I might know what you're referring to. I think Ninja 7. Yeah, as mentioned, NinjaTrader 8 now calls it trading hours, and so I think they did do a little tweak to their session templates, and so Blackbird for Ninja 7 might have been. I mean, this window hasn't changed much, but there might have been some very subtle tweak, but yeah, basically, even in Ninja 7, Blackbird could not modify NinjaTrader settings. Yeah, Blackbird did not modify the Ninja 7 session templates. Yeah, so they used to call this session templates instead of trading hours. I'm sorry, there you go. Yeah, trading hours. Yeah, so, all right. Anyways, whatever that case may be, there. But yeah, all right. Looks like Doug has a full understanding here of what's going on. All right. Okay, excellent. And let's see here. One last question or comment here from Doug. Okay, yeah, so Doug wants to see an example of splitting up one of those blocks of time here. Okay, so let's open up the scheduling again. Yeah, so, if you want 2 blocks of time, or you might think of it as splitting up this block of time here. Yeah, so I will just boop, knock that down. So yeah, let's say maybe you don't want to trade the first hour as the market's trying to figure out what it's doing, right? The market loves to go the opposite direction for the first, 15, 30 minutes and then reverse course, right? For the remainder of the day. So if you want to stay out of that volatility and maybe trade pre-market, right? There we go. I can just double click on a block and create another block of time there, right? So you can have as many, individualized blocks of time as you want there. So, and then you just double click on it and you can put in whatever kind of custom time you want there, right? Like so. Also, right, you'll notice that the granularity of each row is set in 1 hour increments. So, so if you watched the training video on the scheduling here, it would have taught you that you can change the granularity of each row. So if you want to go to 15-minute granularity, there we go, like so. And then do something like that. So there you go. There's, there we have it. So there's 45 minutes prior to the market opening, right? So again, keep in mind the time zone here is set to Eastern time. So yeah, there we have it. So if you want to block out the first 30 minutes, I can just knock these down now because my granularity is set to every 15 minutes here. Right. Or, of course, you can always double click on one of these green blocks and then you can just go in here and tweak it. Type in the exact time there. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, this only goes down to 5 minutes there because it'd be a little too expansive if, well, 5 minutes is really expansive. So, so for the, so when the question said using 4 o'clock and 59 minutes, you definitely have to type in 59 minutes there. Yeah. All right. So there you go. I think that's what Doug wanted to see. All right, yeah, so here's one more follow-up here from Doug about using the force trades to exit. So, and okay, here we go. Yeah, so his question is, yeah, does that flatten existing trades? Yes, that's exactly what it's for. So, the force trades to exit is doing exactly what NinjaTrader setting does. So NinjaTrader has a similar setting for all strategies where it'll close out, it'll cancel orders, and it'll flatten open positions at a certain time. So, and it also kills your strategy too. So, a lot of people don't like the fact that NinjaTrader setting also turns off your strategy. Since that is a common feature, right? People don't want to trade the overnight session, right? So most people want to be flat when the market ends, or at least, they want to be flat, say 5 minutes after, after the market ends. So the force trades to exit, it flattens all open positions, and it cancels any open or any working orders. Yeah, any open orders, working orders, it cancels those as well. So, yeah. All right. So there's that question. And yeah, also, again here, folks, on kind of simple questions like that, it kind of sucks to have to wait a whole week, to get questions like that answered here. So just want to remind everybody, um, that is all explained in the documentation there, right? So obviously, yeah, the scheduling, right, is one of the management buttons there. So we can go scroll down to scheduling, way down there. There we go, scheduling. And where is it? Force trades to exit. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. I mean, yeah, there's a lot to explain about that for the force trades to exit there. Yeah. So. Yeah, there you go. So there's some examples there. Man, I don't know why this happens, but there's something on our website that keeps stripping out the line returns. So, yeah, I am positive this should have been broken up into several paragraphs, but something keeps stripping out the line returns on our website. Anyways, it's all there. So, despite the proper sentence structure or paragraph structure there. So, all right, here we go. Let's see here. All right, another follow-up. Yeah, so Doug is asking, so all right. Let me expand the granularity again here. All right. Yeah, so Doug's question is, so if there's a, a split here between two different trading times, and I'll just kind of answer this generally speaking. Yeah, so if you have two blocks of time here, right, and there's this no trading period. So the force trades to exits when any period of time comes to an end. So when this morning session comes to an end, right, so at 9:30, force trades to exit will exit that trade. It'll flatten you and cancel all positions. And then once the next block of time begins, then Blackbird will start trading again. Yeah, same thing. Yeah. So if we did something like this, right? So what would happen is if, let's say, Blackbird's auto trading, right? Blackbird, might take a couple of trades, and then by the time 9:30 comes along, right, everything is flattened and all open orders are canceled, right? And then no trading for that half hour, and then Blackbird can start trading again. And then by the time 11 a.m. occurs, then Blackbird will flatten any open positions and cancel any open orders. and then wait until 11:30 picks up. So, right. So now, probably the next logical follow-up is, well, how do I just stop entry orders, but I want, a trade to play out? Well, then you can't do this. Well, or I should say, you can't use the forced trades to exit, right? So you had to turn that off there, and then you have to turn that off. That way, open positions can play themselves out, but then you need an external mechanism to make sure that your orders are closed out at the end of the day. And the way you can do that is you can use a Bloodhound exit signal. There we go. So I'm just going to load in my little crossover test, and I'm going to disable the entries and enable the exits there. And I just happen to have one called exits. So there we go. So I'll just select this Bloodhound template here called exits. And you can set up that Bloodhound template there to generate exit orders, or sorry, exit signals, not orders, exit signals at whatever time of day you want, right? So yeah, so that's your workaround there, is use Bloodhound exit signals to make sure that Blackbird closes all of your open positions and cancels your open orders at whatever time of day you want there at the end of the trading day there. Right. So, okay, let's see where we're at here with the questions. Let's see here. All right, so Doug is asking, yeah, so when I mentioned it turns off the strategy, that's a NinjaTrader setting. All right, Blackbird can't disable itself. Yeah. Strategies cannot disable themselves. They can, they cannot place orders, but they can't disable themselves. So that is only NinjaTrader can disable a strategy. So that was a NinjaTrader setting that would cancel orders and flatten the position, but also disables the strategy. So that's a NinjaTrader setting. So yeah. So that is different than the scheduler, than Blackbird's scheduler. Yeah, so Blackbird can't disable itself. So let's see here. All right, so I think looks like we got through all the scheduling questions here. Let's see here. Oh, okay. So, all right. So we have a follow-up to Drummond's earlier question here. He's saying, are you certain there's no way to have a trailing stop on a separate chart? Yeah, I'm fairly certain. Unless that's something new that NinjaTrader added to the platform. So, but Blackbird has no control over that. So, if you want to be certain, you'll have to ask NinjaTrader support there. So, but yeah, but since we are not aware of that ability, then that would infer that Blackbird doesn't have a way to do that. So, yeah. There. Let's see. Drummond's asking, so I can't use a custom exit template. Correct. Yeah, the scheduling, the scheduling only has just this one, session template here. Yeah. So if you, as said before, if you want your open positions to keep trading until the end of the day, even though you may have these gaps in here, right, where there's no entries, where new entries are not allowed there, but you want to make sure that everything is flattened and canceled at the end of the day. Yeah, the way to do that is to use a Bloodhound custom exit signals here, and just let's see here. Let's see. I'm not sure there's actually anything in that Bloodhound template. Oh, there you go. Exit at 3:55 Eastern Time, but there's nothing in it. Yeah, it's blank. So there are a couple of Bloodhound workshop videos on building exit signals, at whatever custom time you want. Yeah. So, oh, yeah, I'm not sure what's happening here. Oh, it's not 3:55, obviously. All right, let's go back to yesterday. There we go. Ah, come on, move. What is going on with these charts? All right, hold on. Let me. There we go. Let's load an extra day or two. That will help. And also, I'll just put that back to a minute chart. There we go. Yep. So there's our exit signals there at 3:55. So with those, right? So with the signals here, using a Bloodhound system here and only enabling the exit signals there, then this way Blackbird will exit, based on these exit signals. It'll flatten out your position, cancel any open orders there. But then based on the scheduling, since the force trades to exit, right, that's disabled. So the scheduling is not going to flatten your position anymore. So what that means is these blocks of time here now only permit new entry orders, right? So new signals are now recognized, and so Blackbird will place new trades during these blocks of time, but not trade during these during these blank periods here. So yeah, so that's how you could get a position that was opened here in the morning to play out, as long as necessary, and not get canceled here when this period of time comes to an end. So, all right, so hopefully that kind of clears things up. Let's see here. All right, let me move up to the top here and let's see what Kevin has. Okay, yeah, so Kevin is using two different indicators. One indicator to get in, so indicator A to get into a trade, open a trade, but then use indicator B, some other indicator to exit that trade. Yeah, all right, we can do that. So let's cancel this Bloodhound signal. All right. So in the signals, there you go. Just use select your indicator there, and load in, right, whatever custom indicator you're using for your entry signals there, right? And we can see enable entry signals, right? That's checked there for this indicator. And then open up another indicator-based signal here, right? And this second one here, right? Load in whatever your indicator is, but then we're not using this indicator B for your entries, we're using it for your exits, right? And so set this up correctly for whatever the value is of those exit signals for that indicator B, right? So yeah, so these signals are not locked in to being only entry signals, right? So you can pull in any signal source and use it for whatever. Use it for entries or use it only for exits, right? So you can mix and match all you want here with the signal sources. Here. All right, so that takes care of Kevin's question. All right, looks like Michael has left us and he's off trading. Excellent. All right, and looks like, yeah, Farouk has left us as well. And all right, looks like Drummond has another one here. So Drummond, I don't know how that would work. All right, so Drummond's asking, he wants a trailing stop using a custom 5-minute Bloodhound indicator. Yeah, Bloodhound does not provide price values, so you can't you can't trail a stop loss based on Bloodhound price values because Bloodhound doesn't provide price values. Um, um, hmm. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to rephrase your question here and let me know if I'm right or wrong. So yeah, so I'm assuming, yeah, you're inside a Bloodhound. You want to analyze some indicator or some condition on a 5-minute chart. But yeah, and as you have established, Blackbird is trading on a 1-minute chart. Um, yeah, so can you use Bloodhound signals that are coming from a 5-minute chart in Blackbird that's running on a 1-minute chart? And so yes, you can definitely do that. So yeah, it's just that your let me close that out and let's go back to Bloodhound signals again. Uh, so um, well, this is for triggering stop loss trailing. Um, so I don't have any example of what that would be, but uh, yeah. So you wouldn't. So yeah, if you're wanting to use a Bloodhound signal to start a stop loss trailing, right? To begin stop loss trailing or trigger stop loss trailing, yeah, then what you would do, all right, well, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to wipe this out. Okay. So let's start from scratch here. And let's go into the stop loss. And actually, I'll just go with 30 tick. Yeah, I'll just go with 30 tick there. There we go. And all right, so let's go into the trailing actions here. And put this on custom. There. Yeah, so let's say you want to start trailing on a Bloodhound signal. So go to your triggers and let's see, there we go. At the very bottom is Bloodhound signal. And I'll just load in my little crossover test 2 here. And then we have to select, right, that logic template that provides the signal that then activates or triggers the stop loss trailing. And I don't have anything here obviously, so I'll just go with condition B. I'll just say, all right, on whatever this condition B is, right, that's our signal that triggers the stop loss trailing. So there. And then the rest of it is just figuring out, okay, is this custom signal here, is that signal going to be in the same direction as the trade? right? So if you're in a long trade, is this signal from Bloodhound, is it a long signal? Or maybe if you're in a long trade, is that Bloodhound signal a short signal, right? Or maybe you don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. Whenever any signal comes out of Bloodhound, long or short signal, right? That just use that signal in either direction to then activate the stop loss trailing, right? So that's it, right? You just have to load in your Bloodhound template, and then select the logic template, and then determine, what is the signal, what is the Bloodhound signal direction, as compared to the trading direction, right? There. So I think that's what you're looking for there, Drummond. Yeah, and as far as the 5 minute time frame versus the 1 minute time frame, Blackbird doesn't care what time frame Bloodhound's working on. So, right, Bloodhound will just do its own thing based on whatever time frame you set up within Bloodhound. There. So, yeah. The only key thing to be aware of is that with NinjaTrader, right? This is a NinjaTrader design, which is you always have to trade on the lower time frame. So Blackbird always has to be on the lowest time frame if you're using other time frames to trigger something, right? Yeah. So yeah. So Blackbird has to either run on a 1 minute chart or a 5 minute chart, no higher, right? If Blackbird's running on a 10-minute chart, then right, it should make sense that your 5 minute time frame that's running inside of Bloodhound, right? If you're on a 10-minute chart, then those 5 minute signals only get read every 10 minutes. So you could miss a 5 minute signal because it's on a lower time frame, but Blackbird's running on a 10-minute chart. So that also means that Bloodhound is calculated every 10 minutes, not every 5 minutes. So you can't mix and match those time frames there with NinjaTrader. So technically you can, but that's a whole can of worms. And yeah, you would need to go to NinjaTrader so they can help you understand how mixing and matching time frames work, from indicator to indicator or strategy to indicator and all that stuff, and how that all changes based on the calculate mode of NinjaTrader. Yeah. So that stuff gets really tricky. So when you're mixing and matching time frames there. Yeah. So if you want to do anything more complex, you need to go to NinjaTrader support and have them help you understand how all that mixing and matching of time frames, what the limitations are, and things of that nature. Yeah. So, but anyways, yeah, that's how you would pull in a Bloodhound signal, as long as the time frame within Bloodhound is higher than the 1 minute time frame of the chart here, right? So, yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So Drummond said, yeah. All right. Yeah. So it looks like you got all this set up correctly, other than making sure the signal direction was set up correctly. Yep. Yep. So, um, yeah. So there you go. Um, yeah. The default here is signal in opposite direction. So when you load in the Bloodhound signal trigger, right? When you load in this trigger, yeah, the default mode is signal in opposite direction there. Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully all of your stop loss triggers, yeah, or match the direction of the entry signal. Yeah. So there we go. All right. Well, good. All right. Looks like we got something resolved here today, fine, at least. um, all right. Just reading through the other comments here, folks. Okay. Good. Looks like we got Drummond moving along for the weekend here, so he can get some testing done over the weekend. All right. All right. Looks like, yeah, Drummond's calling it a weekend as well. All right. Have a good rest of your Friday, and we'll see you next time. And all right, back to Kevin. So give me a moment here. Um, okay, so back to Kevin's questions about using indicator A for entries and indicator B for exits. Um, let's see. So, so there's a problem exiting where, um, so indicator A also produces exit signals. Yeah. So going back to, using a third party indicator here, um, as long as the exit signals is disabled for indicator A, right? So whatever that indicator is, as long as the exit signals, as long as that is not checked, then um, then Blackbird is not using indicator A for exit signals. Yeah. Um, so I think, Kevin, further clarification here might be needed. So yeah. Um, yeah. So for indicator B, obviously disable the entry signals and enable the exit signals, right? But also, you got to make sure. I don't have anything. Yeah, there is no free. There is no free open source indicator out there that I can use as an example. Actually, no. Well, yeah. All right, we'll have to pretend here. Use our imagination. Um, let's see. I'm going to use the better volume. Not really. Um, all right. Well, this isn't great. But all right, I'm just going to go with this. Actually, no, hold on. Let me check another indicator here. Yeah, there we go. All right. I'll go with the Woody CCI because it has a bunch of plots and data series here, you know. So I don't know, let's just pretend like the Sidewinder is our exit signals for indicator B. So there we go, you know, and right, so select whatever the exit signals are, you know, coming, you know, whatever plot the exit signals are from indicator B, and there we go. Right? And so we have exit signals enabled. So yeah, there we go. And then for indicator A, I guess I'll just go back to this better volume indicator, and there we go. Let's just say bar type. Maybe that pretend bar type is our entry signals there. Select that. And there we go. And so enable entry signals is checked here for indicator A. And entry signals, right, that's unchecked. So for indicator B, but the exit signals is checked. Yeah. So, yeah, so with this, right, so keep in mind, so if you are using the same indicator for entries and exits, you still have to set up two signal sources, right? Because, right, so let's say you have one indicator and it is providing both entries and exit signals together. Well, you'll notice you can't select two different outputs at the same time. You can only select one output at a time, right? So that means, you know, if you're in a single indicator has both entries and exits, you do have to set up you do have to set up two signal sources there, right? For the same indicator. All right. Hopefully that was clear. So oh, okay. Well, yeah. So Kevin, you gotta mention those things, man. Don't hide stuff from me, otherwise you'll most likely get the wrong answer. Or yeah. All right. So Kevin is using Bloodhound entries and exits. Okay. Um, so yeah, that's more of a Bloodhound question, but bottom line is here. Let me use my little crossover test here again. Right, use my little crossover test Bloodhound system there. Right. So indicator A is going to go into some logic template, right? And so I'll just call it condition A. And then your exit signals, so indicator B will go in a different logic template, right? And so I'll just use condition B. So there you go. Yeah. And so now, so indicator A is in its own logic template. So, and you select that logic template for your entries, and then indicator B goes in a separate logic template, and that's used for your exit signals, right? So you can create, as many logic templates in Bloodhound as you want. Yeah, so put each indicator in their own logic template, and there you go. Probably just call, put indicator B in a logic template called exit. Keep it simple, right? But, call it whatever you want. So, yeah, there you go. So, yeah, based on your question here, where the problem is exiting on the second indicator B, is that indicator A also gives an exit signal. Yeah, so it's just a matter of setting up your Bloodhound signals correctly. Um, um, yeah, so depending on how your indicator is written, um, if indicator A is outputting entries and exits on the same output, then yeah, that indicator just has to be written correctly. Right. Like for example, let me go back to let's go back. There we go. Let's go back to that Woody CCI. Right. So indicators have to put their entry signals on one output, and then put their exit signals on a different output there. Right. They have to be separated from each other. You know, even if there's different types of entry signals, those should also be separated, when you're writing an indicator correctly. So, if there's, say, like there's a major entry signal versus a minor entry signal, those should be on different outputs. So that way, in Blackbird and in Bloodhound, in whatever it is that you want to use that custom indicator in, being able to select exactly what type of entry signal you want or what type of exit signals you want, right? That's obviously critical when you're building a system here, so you can disseminate, between the different types of entries that indicator might be generating, or exits that indicator might be generating. So, yeah. Let's see here. Kevin's asking, can I recommend a video on the fundamentals of Bloodhound? Yeah. Let's see here. All right, so just go to support and then go to documentation here on the top. And here's the getting started videos there. And yeah, obviously, probably just start with video number 2, creating a basic system, multiple time frames. So there's 3 videos right there. That'll kind of give you the basics there of Bloodhound. Yeah. So, and if you want to dive in a little deeper to really understand Bloodhound, right, here we go. Here is intro to how Bloodhound works. So this kind of explains what's going on underneath the hood, fundamentally, like how are the calculations being done, as a general process there. Yeah. And let's see. Yeah. And then there's also overviews and properties. Um, yeah. So yeah. So here's a basic description of how Bloodhound works, meaning what how's it calculating stuff. You know. Yeah. And then another kind of overview breakdown of the different elements of Bloodhound. So yeah. Um, there you go. An explanation of what is the basics of solvers, so on and so forth. And then right, so that's how Bloodhound works. But then the overview says overview and properties. Uh, yeah, so, so again, this is kind of a little bit um, overlapping information on how Bloodhound works. So right, but um, yeah, like I said, this is a little more focused on the plots, right? All right, the output is a plot there, and exactly how are those plots being calculated there. So yeah, so just that small little section there at the beginning. There is a little more information on Bloodhound there. So yeah, so that would be these 2 pages here. Yeah, yeah, and this information really can't be put together in a video. So yeah. Now, as far as reading signals from a custom indicator, right? I'm assuming you're using the threshold solver. Hmm. Um, let's see. All right, so I'm gonna switch over to the training workshops page here. All right, and then scroll down to the recordings and let's see here. All right, let's see what indicator interest signals pulls up. Hmm. Hmm. There we go. All right, so reading indicator signals. There you go. So how to read third-party indicator signals. Yeah, there we go. So that's an older video, but the the concepts, are the same. So it's just, Bloodhound has an older interface. That's all. But as far as how you read an indicator, there's no difference between Bloodhound version 1 versus Bloodhound version 2, the current version there. And there's another old one there, 9 years old. I'm pretty sure there's a newer one here. Um, hmm. Well, I wish YouTube had a way of putting a time limit here. Yeah. All of these are pretty old. Hmm. Yeah, I'm not finding the newer one. I know there was a newer version of reading, yeah, reading a signal from a third party indicator. Um, yeah, just so so you can see it being done, with Bloodhound's newer interface. But yeah, that'll get the job done there. Yeah. All right. Let's see what other kind of follow ups here Kevin has. Um, um, all right. Yeah, Kevin actually has a Blackbird question here. Um, all right. Give me a moment to kind of get things cleaned up. All right. Yeah. So the question is, Kevin's asking, yeah, is there a sort of trailing profit feature? Um, so that way, for example, if you're up 2000, right, net profit is up 2000, but then you have a couple of losing trades and your net profit for the day drops down to 1000, yeah, then stop trading. Yeah, that's exactly what the high watermark feature is. So this, daily watermark, that's exactly what that does there. So I think most commonly um, people are probably going to think of this in terms of a fixed value there, right? So as your question alluded, right, let's say, right, you want to wait until your net profit reaches, a certain amount, so 2000 for the example. But then if you lose 50% of that, right, so stop trading after 50% of profits are lost. So there you go. Or um, you can put in a fixed value as well. So you can say, okay, so you can turn on, so the watermark feature, right, it turns on after 2000 is achieved, and then it'll turn off after 1000 is lost. So, or you can just leave it on the percentage there and say, okay, after 50% there. So, right. There. All right. Um, yeah, and of course, yeah, if you have questions about that again over the weekend or something like that, yeah, we just go to the, one of the documentation pages here, and that, right, money management is one of the management buttons here. So we'll just go management buttons. There you go, money management. And there you go. There's the daily watermark right there. And there you go. So, all right, looks like we got that one taken care of. Um, all right, let's see where we're at here. So I finally got through all those questions. Man, this was quite the Blackbird workshop session here. Lots of questions today. Um, and let's see. All right, so we made it past the 2 hour mark. So yeah, this was a good Blackbird session here. And well, shoot, we lost about half the people in the room. Not surprising after 2 hours, right? It's kind of a long haul. All right, well, gentlemen, so with that, I'll give everybody about, I don't know, 5, 7 minutes or so to see if there's any more Blackbird questions that you might have. And if I don't see any more questions, right in the next 5 or 7 minutes, then I'll wrap it up. So, all right. Looks like Kevin is, calling it a weekend as well. So, have a good rest of the Friday there, Kevin, and I'll see you next time. All right. So again, I will hang around for at least 5 minutes, 5 or 7 minutes here to just make sure there's no more questions. So, as long as questions keep coming in, then the workshop will stay open as almost as long as necessary to get your guys' questions answered. So, all right. So I'm just gonna mute my microphone until the next question comes in here. All right. Yeah, it looks like Doug is out of here as well. Well, all right. We're losing people pretty quickly here. Yeah, it's kind of looking like we are done for the day. Well, all right. Yeah, we only got two people left in the room. So, Dave, Dean, I'll give you guys a minute or two, see if you have any questions. And if not, I'll close up shop for the day. All right, gentlemen, doesn't look like you to have any questions for me. So with that, I will wrap it up. All right, you guys have a good rest of your Friday and a good weekend as well. All right, see you next week. Bye bye.